When riding on city streets, good lighting can be as important as wearing a helmet. And for a headlight, I use a 700 lumen Bontrager Ion, it's super bright, and for a tail light, I use a Bontrager Flare R, or in this case, my brand new Flare RT because I lost my Flare R somewhere. Both of these are great lights, but they're not cheap. The Ion 700, now they've replaced it with an 800, but that set me back about $80, and that tail light cost around $60. But what if you're shopping on a budget? Let's say a $25 budget. Is it even possible to get a good light for that price? Because there are lots of crappy lights out there. Let's look at a light combo that I recently became aware of on Amazon that only costs $23.99. This is the VASTFIRE bicycle headlight. It has a 5200 milliamp hour internal battery and a stated runtime of, and I quote, around 4 hours. It also claims to be 1000 lumens. I said this was a combo, and the tail light, honestly I didn't give this much thought. I had a single-use coupon code that knocked the price down a bit, and I was looking at that headlight. But the tail light, it's a Volcano bicycle light. And look at this, it's a good friend of safe and healthy bicycle riding. Okay, well let's see what this Volcano is all about. Okay, it says it has between 4 and 12 hours of runtime, and it also says 50 lumens and a 330 milliamp hour battery. So let's get it open and see what makes up a Volcano tail light. As expected, the Volcano is very plastic and also very light. It kind of looks cheap, and the mount looks super cheap, but it does have a rubber strap, so at least it's going to be easy to get on and off. But is it going to be bright enough, or even to use? I do see that it has 5 LEDs. It does have some power out of the box, and this isn't showing up well on camera, but it is brighter than I was expecting, and it looks like it has 4 modes, so we'll see how this does outside. Also in the box, in a compartment underneath the light, is a USB charging cable, the one and only accessory. The light has a rubber cover over the USB port and also a rubber power button, so it should be waterproof, and we'll see. The headlight's what this review is really about, so let's take a look at this VASTFIRE. Feels like it has some heft to it, so I'm really curious to see what it's going to be like out of the packaging, and it's also fun to see what accessories a product comes with. It's that joy of the unboxing. Looks like we get the bare minimum here. There's a mount, a very large mount, and there's also a USB charge cable. Let's hope the light's a little more impressive than this accessory bundle, and here it is, the 1000 lumen VASTFIRE. It has some heft to it, I've already mentioned that, and that's because of the aluminum alloy enclosure. This is a dual beam design, which usually means that 1000 is 2 500 lumen lights. So we'll see how effective it is. This also had a charge out of the box, and wow, it's far brighter than I was expecting, especially when I look at it when I'm turning it on. And it says that there are 5 modes. It's a low, medium, and a high, and those are supposed to be solid modes. Then it says there's a strobe and an SOS mode. Now this enclosure, this alloy enclosure, also looks to be sealed, so it should resist water pretty well. And on the bottom is this sealed charge port. So let me get the charges topped up on both these lights, and we'll see how they do on a bright sunny day. Let's start with the Volcano taillight. It's brighter than it looks here, but it's not super good or super bad. All 4 modes are visible for about a block during daylight, and it's a little more effective at night, but I would still say about a block is the max effective range. Mounted up, you see that the VASTFIRE light's not overly large, but it's definitely not a small light, and that mount's definitely chunky, but it does fit a multitude of various size bars, and it can be adjusted side to side with the swivel. The power button also serves as a charge status indicator, and out in the sun it's a little bit difficult to tell what status level it's at. The light output is far more impressive than the camera conveys. This is a bright sunny day on the lowest setting, and Dad had to turn his head. This is on medium, even brighter. And this is the brightest steady light setting. There's also setting 4, which is a strobe setting, very bright, very attention getting. And then the one that I like the most, this is called setting 5 or SOS. It's a varying SOS code, and it really shows up well. And at night the light output's even more impressive, but it's hard to convey on camera. As you can see, this is on the lowest setting, and I can easily see the 25 feet to my barn. That's the medium setting, and you can start seeing the fence behind the barn. Then this is the high beam. Now those dual beams really make this wide, so it really spreads out even better than you can see here. Then of course there's the standard strobe, not useful that much at night, but very good during the daytime. And then there's the SOS. And I wanted to test out that build quality, and there's no test for that like checking the waterproofing. So I put it out in the rain and let nature do its thing for an entire day. And surprisingly, even that Volcano tail light did well in the rain, even in torrential downpours. So the build quality is good, the light output's excellent, and that only leaves battery life as the final metric of what makes a good light. The VASTFIRE claims, remember, around 4 hours. I still find that comical. And in my testing on the brightest setting, I could get over 2 hours of super bright light, and then it would gradually fade, and this is at 3 hours and 15 minutes on bright. So I don't doubt that you could get 4 hours if you varied the settings. Because even after 3 hours and the bright suffered, I was able to switch it to strobe and it was still noticeably usable. On the Volcano, I didn't get the 4 hours listed on steady, I got 2.5, but I got 14 on super flash, so I guess that balances out. And I don't know about that 50 lumen claims on the brightness, I have no way to measure that, but I would guess 35, but it's usable. And the light itself, I mean, it does feel cheap, but it is waterproof. And interestingly enough, you have to cycle through all the modes to get to the off switch, so that's kind of annoying. And the mount also feels cheap. I mean, it's plastic and as flimsy as the light, and the light is very hard to get off the mount, but there's no reason to remove it because you can charge the light with it on the mount. But the mount itself, it easily goes on and off of a bike thanks to the rubber strapping. But the Volcano is technically a free add-on item because you're buying the VASTFIRE, so I can't really complain. And for the VASTFIRE itself, with its large battery and 1000 lumens, it's far more impressive than that tail light could ever be. It's well made and it's well assembled because it proved to be truly waterproof. Now it does have some heft to it. This isn't a light light, it does have weight, so the people that worry about every gram probably not going to like this, and it's not the smallest light. It's not very big, but it's still not small. Now that is a bit of a contrast with the mount. I mean, the mount's very plasticky and it's kind of clunky looking, but it's not clunky to use. It's easy to get on and off, and with that swing and secure design, it's going to fit a multitude of handlebar sizes, so odds are you're going to be able to fit it on whatever bike you want to put it on. One quick note on putting the mount and the light together. There's a notch on the base of the mount and a tab on the base of the light. Make sure you have these properly lined up, because if you don't and you put them together, it's nearly impossible to get them apart. So trust me, it's a mistake that you don't want to make. So there's lots to like about this light. I mean, I really do like it, and I think it's a great value for the money. But there are a few areas where it maybe doesn't hit the target right on the bullseye. I've already mentioned the battery indicator button being difficult to see in the daylight, and that's because it's a rubber power button that's white and a small LED underneath it. Not very effective in daylight. And I also don't like the way this light powers off and back on. It powers off like normal, you can press and hold, or you can cycle through to the off setting, but when you turn it back on, no matter what setting it was previously on, it's going to revert back to setting 1. And that means if you like the strobe or the SOS, every time you turn the light back on, you're going to have to press 3 or 4 times to get it back to your setting. It's kind of annoying, but definitely not a deal killer. And I mentioned the weight and size. If you don't like weight, the 240 grams or the 8.5 ounces are going to be probably heavy for you. And if you don't like big lights, this is 4 by 2 by 1 inches, so it's not small. But if you think about it, for a dual light with a 5200 milliamp hour battery, that's really not all that big. And for me, at this price point, I'm looking more at performance and build quality rather than weight and size. So even though that Volcano tail light's not all that impressive, I look at it as a free add-on for what I believe is a very worthy headlight, one that I can't wait to use on a mountain bike trail night ride. And I'm going to guess that the other riders are not going to believe that it was only $23.99 when they see how much of the trail it lights up. And that's my take on the VASTFIRE headlight and the Volcano tail light combo. Be sure to comment below with what you think about this VASTFIRE light or these lights. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out on Amazon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next review.